What is going on, good people of the internet? It is time once again for us to come together as African American nerds, as black nerds, as blerds, whatever you want to call us. We are coming together once again to talk about whatever we want to talk about when it comes to nerd culture, whether it be comic books, video games, anime, whatever. Currently tonight it is comic books, but like regardless, like this is what we're talking about this evening, and we are here as Blerd Grounds. This is the podcast we do every week for you good folks, where we come together and talk about everything we want to talk about, and we're going to get right into it. But before we do, don't forget that you can follow this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Blerd Grounds. You can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, YouTube, all those great things, except for SoundCloud. We do not support SoundCloud. I'm still waiting to hear back from iHeartRadio, so if anyone wants to call iHeartRadio and help us out, please tell them to answer my email. And you can check out our fellow podcasts on the Shoot the Breeze Media Network on the Spotify and other platforms. We have our Panel to Panel comic book podcast, which is our flagship podcast, and we have our Living on the Edge Spider-Man podcast that you can find on all those platforms as well. You can follow them on Twitter at LOTE podcast LOTE _ for the Spider-Man podcast, and PTP _ podcast for the Panel to Panel podcast. All right, to my left, we have the man whose afro is starting to go down for some reason rather than up. I don't really understand it, but somehow it's going that way. Travis, how are you doing this evening?
Gravity? Deal with gravity.
Gravity. Okay. Then we have the man who serves the children, but it has the greatest of takes whenever it comes to roasting the populace. Mr. Marcus Freeman, how you doing this evening?
Hey, what up, y'all? I'm good, man. Just traveling for work. I'm in a hotel in Texas right now, so just happy to be here and hang out with y'all.
All right. And then we have the man who was so interested in coming on tonight's podcast that he is currently on a train, Mr. Dr. Aaron Jones. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. As you may hear in the background, the train is a blaring, and so please have patience with me in the train. And I just had to be on tonight and chat with y'all. I'm heading to my mom's down in LA and heading out on the train. So,
all right.
Yep.
And we have a special guest with us for a special interview, Real Talk. We have the man who has three different comic books that were released yesterday that he was either writing as part of a feature. We have the writer of the brand new number one issue of comic book On The Stump from Image Comics that released today. We have the return of the co-writing for Bitterroot from Image Comics that came out today as well at number 6. And we have the man who wrote co-written a story for Marvel Voices, the podcast that was turned into a comic book for Marvel Comics. Chuck Brown, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing?
Pretty darn good.
Pretty good.
I'm happy to have you on.
I'm on the road on my way to the post office, so just don't mind the horns honking or anything weird, all right?
All right, no problem. We are so thankful that you had time to join us this evening.
I appreciate you inviting me on, man. It's cool.
Okay. So when it comes to your career, we have seen you become more prominent as of late with partnering with David F. Walker on multiple different projects and Sanford Green. We have seen you release an amazing and interesting comic book that I started reading yesterday over at Dark Horse. You had The Quiet Kind that blew me away. Wow.
Oh yeah.
You have On The Stump that came out this week. That is just perfect parallel to current society going on right now. What made you come into comic books that you could honestly say if you had to tell your issue 0 as it were for folks, what would be your issue
0? Honestly, I think I was creating comic books and giving them origins and abilities and all these, building these worlds before I knew that it was a profession at all. It was kind of like an escape for me or therapy for me, and I didn't really start trying to write comics until I went to college and met other guys like me that were trying to do it as well. And at Benedict College, it was a HBCU. So yeah, I never really saw myself as a writer or a creator. I just kind of did it, just kind of stay sane and just something that just kind of came natural to me. And over time, I just kind of wanted to make it a career over time. But I never really saw myself as a writer or even someone that could write. But I just kind of forced myself into it, you know. I kind of willed myself into the position, I guess you might say, you know.
Definitely, definitely. It seems that you have a knack for telling very supernatural based stories. Is that just a genre you find yourself more comfortable in? Is that something that you find that is not really something that African Americans or people of color have like a background in, that so you wanted to break into that market?
I actually enjoy more the grounded stuff. I mean, Bitterroot definitely has like supernatural elements and demonology and root work, but the characters are somewhat pretty grounded. The villains and the obstacles they face are kind of pretty fantastic, but I kind of enjoy the grounded stuff, but I also like dabble in the supernatural and the powers and things of that sort. But On the Stump is probably more grounded and Quiet Kind is very it has supernatural elements, but it's like dealing with gods and deities and things of that sort. But at its core, it's about being an outcast, being bullied, that kind of stuff. So it's everything I create is basically about either something I'm going through or something someone I know is going through or something the world, the country is going through, and I just kind of build on that and just put a lot of supernatural shit around it.
That's very fair. That's very fair. You've actually been part of this sort of more outbroken sort of start for a lot of African American creators coming more into the limelight, where you see like Marvel and DC not really having a place, and then you see like you guys going and creating your own stories. Like, what is that
Right.
like for you, and like being in that type
Um.
of place?
It's like I've been trying to hustle. I've been hustling at it so long, man. Just creating my own comics and printing them up and losing money and traveling to cons and trying to get work at DC or Marvel or anywhere. Um, I have seen a slow shift in that. What David and Sanford did with Power Man 9 was amazing, but
Mm,
that amazing book, it got canceled. I don't, why was that? So
mm.
um, I do see a rise in black creators. Period. I'm not sure about at Marvel or DC. I don't really pay that close attention to who's writing what. I know there's a lot of great artists doing Marvel and DC work, but I'm not sure about writers. Um, Doing creator own stuff is definitely more fulfilling for me. But I'm a child of the '80s. I'm a fan at heart. So writing a Wolverine or a Batman story, that's a dream come true. So that's like a different kind of fulfillment. There's good parts of both of those worlds. Creating your own stuff is like it's like your own little business. You gotta do the marketing, and I'm driving to the damn post office in the rain to that kind of stuff. So yeah, but
Most definitely, most definitely. Honestly, your writing and David F. Walker's writing have impacted all of us on this cast so much. Bitterroot was the breakout
oh wow,
thing that made us want to bring this podcast up and make it happen. When we first
wow,
got things going.
that's dope, man. That's awesome, man. That's very cool, man.
Yeah, so like, and then Aaron's been first I was reviewing, and then Aaron took over. So I don't know if you want to dive in, Dr. Jones, and speak on it, like talk about or ask him any questions about the book at all.
See, 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 he has doctor in his title. I feel very intimidated now. I want
No, I'm the one who is intimidated. Let's be
to answer
clear.
these questions.
Uh,
PhD.
uh,
Uh,
so my question is really about like what we had a segment on one of our podcasts where we talked about the historical things that were going on as far as Red Summer and Bitterroot. Like, what made you
right.
want to like tackle that? Like, what, because people don't talk about it, people don't know about it, people don't know the history about it. What made you want to tackle that?
Sometimes I can't. Well, I think it's for a lot of people, but for me, race in America and the world, it kind of affects me mentally. Where you just you can't understand why people hate you. Well, you understand, but people hate you because you exist. They don't know you, don't know anything about you. So, and you see all this negative representation sometimes in movies and in film, and people in different countries have different perception of what it means to be a black man or a black woman. And then you just want to feel empowered. You want to feel special. You want to feel unique. So, the Harlem Renaissance always fascinated me. I'm no historian by any means, but it's always something that fascinated me. I've always done research here and there, and it's just like they had to deal with so much more than what we had to deal with, but they still created this incredible movement. The Cotton Club wouldn't let us. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
something.
absolutely,
No,
absolutely.
just saying that the Cotton Club wouldn't even let us in the door, but they played our music, right? Our music affected the world, but yet they somewhat hated us. And just that power overcoming, that's that flower growing out of all these weeds and dirt and pain, and it just seems so empowering. So that's why I wanted to set it during that time. And you've seen tons of different, monster hunting films and TV shows, but you never really see anybody that actually care about the monster, right? And sometimes I kind of see myself as a monster, as the guy being chased with the pitchfork. So I was like, that monster has a soul. That monster's a person. It's something that person is redeemable. That thing's redeemable. Things can't be that bad, right? So that's kind of why they're born out of that. About feeling empowerment and also seeing redemption in, I guess, the worst of us. You see some pretty horrible people in this world, but you want to believe deep down that there's some good in them, right? So that's kind of what one side of the Sangiri kind of represent, that there's some good in this person, but also the other side, like Ford and other people in our larger universe believe, once you get that infection, you got to be amputated, you got to go, you got to die, that kind of thing. So kind of like that balance between that duality in my own mind and in the world, and that's kind of why Bitterroot was born. And then David came on board. He took it to a whole another level. He actually lived in Harlem, which that really brings some legitimacy. And he's like a walking historian. And he really brought in the ideas about the Red Summer, and of course Sanford family is very important to Sanford. His artwork is insane. So it's really just like a huge melting pot between the three of us, just gonna create this animal, this living, breathing thing that people fell in love with, man. So it's kind of cool.
So awesome. Like I really appreciate the mix of all of these elements in just one thing. I got really excited, and I think also as a scholar too, like I appreciate the back end, so like having the scholarly articles and things like that in the back. So I've really appreciated that. Yeah.
Because David like approached us like, so John Jennings interested in doing, like essays in the back, and John has this whole like concept of African American horror and how it mixes together. I'd never heard anything like that before, and I was already excited about the book, being in the creative process, but when John approached us with this, I was like blown away. It just opened my mind up to so many different possibilities, and I was really excited about the back matter and bringing that teachable, that another layer of teachable element to the book. So there's our world is framed, in history and the plight of African Americans in this country, but have John and the scholars come on and actually really elevate that to another level was real special.
All right. Mr. Freeman, I know that, like much like myself and Dr. Jones and Travis, this book is very near and dear to your heart. So I know you want to ask this man some questions.
Definitely. I got two questions. One's kind of a continuation of what Aaron just asked. But what I wanted to ask was, were there any specific historical figures from that time period that you based any of the characters on?
More or less the namesake. The main character, one of the main characters, Cullen, more or less to give the name, but no one was actually based on anybody. I think I used a little visual reference for for Enoch. I think we used Frederick Douglass, like as far as how he should look in a sense as far as visual reference. But I really
Yeah, I can
wanted to
see
try
that.
to, I really wanted to try to just have these characters be their own people. But in the future, we may actually have some actual historical figures mentioned in the book, but we really want to
Oh,
have our own world.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
My
I
next
got mad
question is
excited right
how
now.
does my next question is how does it feel to see Hollywood picking up on Bitterroot and wanting to make it into a motion picture, a major motion picture?
It's just like it takes a lot to get me excited, to be honest with you, because so many rejections and failure. You know what I'm saying? I don't try to get
Right.
too excited about too much stuff, but we knew about certain film companies that were interested even before the book hit the shelves. So that was kind of like laid back and whatnot. And then the book was published and blew up, and you knew Legendary was interested. So, oh wow, that's cool. They're excited, and then we had meetings about our wish list of people we want involved. And I think we were on the phone with Legendary and everybody, and I think the VP of Legendary, he joking, he said, we'll put Ryan Coogler at the top, probably won't get it. He'll probably be busy, next year, ha ha ha. We laughed it off, But when that got announced that he was actually going to be like a part of this book, man, that was like that was a surreal moment to know that. Because Black Panther was an amazing film. It's an amazing comic book character, and
Most definitely.
what he brought to was so authentic, and to have him to know that he was actually reading our books. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't see like an opportunity to make some money off a property. He was actually reading our books, and that really blew my mind. So that when that happened, I really got excited about that. It was really kind of surreal. Everything's real. Everything's still a little surreal. Um, David and Sanford are such huge, incredible talent, so they shine really bright. So they cast a shadow sometimes, So I always kind of feel like I'm just kind of like, I'm just kind of going with the flow in a sense, But um, having they always had my back, and I would say, hey man, you are part of this team. You are critical to what we do, and just to have them by my side and to know Ryan Coogler's interested, it's all real surreal, man. I'm just real proud. I just hope we just put out, a great movie just like we did a great comic. Hope people enjoy it. That's kind of the bottom line. Hope people enjoy
Yeah,
what we do.
we're definitely excited to see it come out and see if it
Yeah,
can
Oh,
see
no
what
doubt.
magic you can make on the screen.
yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. So
No doubt, no doubt. Travis, do you want to
What up?
pick up for where Marcus left off there and ask some questions?
Honestly, like maybe to try to get you excited, what would be like your specific fan casting for Bitterroot if it does come up to fruition?
man, I'm stuck at naming Hollywood names, man. Don't put me on the spot like this, man. I suck. Um, let's just say this. I would be bad if the entire cast of Atlanta was on
Ooh,
Bitterroot.
okay.
Like everybody, think about
Yeah, that's
everybody
dope.
on that TV show, right? You can place everybody on a Bitterroot character right now. Except maybe Enoch, but everybody else, you know, Cullen, Berg, you definitely can see all of them as the characters. That would be fantastic, But I'm pretty open to who they pick, Like I got faith in Legendary and Ryan, and I know they'll do the property proud, So, but yeah, but like I said, I'm a huge fan of Atlanta, and like everyone on that cast would be amazing in Bitterroot. But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Uh,
What was it like
no, I
with
got
all the collaborating with David F. during your Bitterroot time?
I mean, we had our ups and downs. We human. We both have our egos. I think I've collaborated like once before with someone, but just trying to find our groove technically, as far as what comes first. Chicken and egg, me, him. How do we do our outlines? When do we meet? Because he's in Portland, I'm in South Carolina, that kind of thing. I've collaborated with tons of artists, which is the whole different flow of things. But over time, we became friends and then brothers, and we work really well together now. I mean, everything's cool. I normally write the first drafts, and he'll write the second and final drafts. Sometimes we'll plot them out together. He'll like text me and say, "Hey man, I think about this. It's kind of cool." Or I may email him and say, "Hey, what about this?" And we kind of merge everything together, and then give it to Sanford, and he does his magic.
All right.
Yeah. Now I have a question now. There's a lot of people on this phone. So I wanted to know. I hear your names being called out, but are you guys in the industry, or what are you a doctor of, and what are you reading right now? Just curious who I'm talking to. That's all.
We are dedicated fans. We are also aspiring journalists that have started our own website, trying to get things going. We had an idea about last year, a couple of years ago, to try to create a platform to elevate Black culture and nerd culture together. And we tried to launch the podcast before, couldn't get it going, but now we tried it again, and it's starting to go really well.
Nice.
There's just everybody on our staff that is a person of color that wanted to be a part of this. We have Travis, who's been kicking butt reviewing all of our Batman titles. He has a really big passion for anything that's a minor character. He did a giant spotlight on Power Man and Iron Fist, because that's why he definitely agrees to do that. Book is amazing.
Nice.
Yes.
Marcus has definitely been our Miles Morales champion alongside myself. He has been killing it reviewing that book. He's been reviewing Avengers. He has this passion for legacy heroes. He has been kicking it, trying to promote that as well, and show that we should be having more legacy characters of color.
Gotcha.
And then Dr. Jones over here, I don't know if you want to give more light on your education, sir, but he is.
Tell him what you a doctor of.
I have my doctorate in higher education leadership. I work at a university, and at the university, I work with Black students on campus. So I work at UC Santa Cruz. Just trying to make sure that we can keep it together and get our degrees. So
Nice.
what I do professionally.
My day job is a IT guy at a university.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's dope.
I'm not.
What university?
University of South Carolina.
Okay, that's dope. The other USD.
Yeah. So go Gamecocks.
Cool.
And it's like he is definitely our Black Panther resident when it comes to everything. That the minute I don't even gotta even hesitate when a new book is announced. I'm just like, and here you go, just go, do your thing.
All right, nice.
So I want to definitely give you some background on that, and then myself, I had this idea to bring this out here. I brought everybody in, trying to make this happen. I have been a champion trying to basically get publishers to understand that Black books need to be a thing, and it's frustrating. We keep doing character spotlights, trying to understand why Black Lightning doesn't have a book at DC right now, trying to understand why Cyborg doesn't have a book at DC. It was the idea of trying to elevate that platform.
See, I'm kind of out of the loop. I didn't know Cyborg didn't have a book anymore, or Black Lightning. I thought Cyborg was ongoing.
Cyborg hasn't had a book since last July, because Semper Jr. had been writing it for Rebirth, and then he left, and then Kevin Graveau did 2 fill-in issues, and then he left, and then the book was canceled for a few months, and then it came back for 5 minutes under Marv Wolfman, and then it was canceled again. It's so tragic. And Black Lightning hasn't had a book in years, except for the miniseries that came out around the time the first season 1 of the show came out. It's just kind of annoying.
How do you guys feel about villains having books? How do you feel about that,
fellas?
I kind of dig it, as long as they just, because it's their book, they're like a hero all of a sudden. If they're a villain, but it's still kind of we know they're a villain, then I'm pretty cool with them, because there's a lot of story to be told when you kind of approach it from that.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I was looking up like Black Manta, and there's like not a lot of lore on like how he became who he is. You know, like background. So I would love to write like a Black Manta.
I would
like
love that so much.
That would be
Yeah, that
dope.
would be dope.
As
That would be dope.
as a hardcore Jackson Hyde fan, I would love that so much.
Because when I first
Yo.
realized he was black, I was like, oh my god, that is so dope. So yeah, I would love to do a Black Manta book one day. So.
Right, because
Like if you even think
Anyway.
about like the Aquaman movie, the Aquaman movie, like you even see like from that element, I was like, damn, like this is actually much more interesting than I thought it would be.
about how they became a Black Manta, about how he was robbing, how that grandfather escaped to the seas. That was dope. That was awesome concept right there. Yeah. But a lot of people didn't feel that movie, but I don't care. I liked it.
It was amazing. It was my favorite DC movie ever, and no one can stop me. I am the Aquaman fan here. Like,
Yeah,
literally,
he's an Aquaman fan.
My trident is against my wall. Like I live and die by
That's
Aquaman.
There's a lot of haters, man. But I liked it. I liked it.
It was a fun movie. I think
Yeah.
they threw everything and the kitchen sink at us because I don't think they were sure they would get another shot at it. But it ended up, being really successful.
I mean, so did Black Panther, and that won an Oscar. Like, why are we judging?
I'm not judging.
True.
I'm just saying.
It's not true.
Aquaman was like a swashbuckling adventure. Then it became like a horror movie. Then it became kind of like a political like thriller. It was like a bunch of things in the one, and then there's a very bad Pitbull song in it too.
Oh, we don't talk about that Pitbull song. That was the one bad.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that part. I don't remember
Yeah, like he's just like I don't remember that.
That's just.
All right, so we definitely do want to touch on like your primary focus of the week was the fact that On The Stump #1 came out. This book,
Yes, sir.
especially after yesterday's debate, was just perfect. Like it's almost like you foresaw the future. That like the fists were gonna come flying, and it was just beautiful. This amazing allegory of how in a different time, like in the '60s, the legislation was passed, and now we have all this like constant fighting in the ring over elections, over passing bills. What made you come up with this concept? Like I have to know.
Well, I mean, like I said before, man, I don't consider myself like a political science scholar or anything, but I just watching over the years, just watching both sides, just kind of battling it out and raising funds and and kind of going after each other while people suffer all around in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what it was born out of. Politicians just kind of putting on a show for us, and we're kind of sitting by cheering them on, and we go to the voting booth and vote for our favorite and kind of keep things moving while the world kind of stays the same. So that's kind of why I kind of created, On The Stump. On another level, I just always wanted to do a book where people just kind of broke out and just started beating the shit out of each other for no reason, like in the street. So just kind of combined. It's just the idea of a world where people just, it's just a very violent world where people just kind of like grandmothers and, obese people and skinny people and kids are just like, that's how they sold it to speak. They just knuckled up and then, the last man standing, you help them up, you go about your business and the problem's resolved, So kind of combining that with the absurdity of real life politics. And I just kind of took the absurdity to another level. But I want people to kind of look at it like, oh man, this is so ridiculous, so insane, this is so cool. And then they get around issue 6 or 4 or whatever, they're like, oh shit, I'm living this. That's kind of what I want to do. I want to entertain, no doubt. But I also want people to kind of see, what kind of world we live in, what kind of country we live in. You know what I'm saying? So,
definitely, and you even.
I bet Maxine could whip Mitch McConnell's ass. Like I bet Maxine could do that.
Ooh.
Could handle Mitch McConnell.
Like it's so.
Let's
good.
turn.
And like I love how you weren't even afraid to touch on freedom of the press with this book. Like you even have like the dude covering for old dude. Like, hey, I got this. You need to get the hell out of here. Like,
Right.
and then you even like, I don't know if this was intentional, but like you have that almost like homage to Boondock season 3, with like where you just have the whole head just come off. I was like, ooh, it's,
Oh no, I didn't even think about that, man. I didn't even think about that. It's just,
What
that
caught me
part,
off guard-
that's actually for a particular reason why that head came off, and you'll see probably 2, 3. I'm thinking maybe next issue. I don't know, but it goes. The rabbit hole goes a lot deeper than it is, and I've talked to a lot of people. Like I have like a circle of people that I let read my scripts. I'm like, dude, am I jamming too much stuff into this thing? And they're like, it's a lot of stuff, but it's kind of, it gels together and it makes sense, and all the messages kind of intertwine. Because that's kind of how politics in life is, like going to the grocery store, have enough money to get fresh vegetables for your kids. I mean, it's people that decide that kind of stuff. That affects us all. So it's a very complicated process. And that's kind of what I want this book to be. There's so many different layers and levels to it about what these guys are beating the shit out of each other in the ring for, but it's affecting all of the world in a way because they're playing these games and not really caring about the people. You know what I'm saying? So.
all right.
And the book really caught me off guard because this dude just gets in a fight, and then he's being somebody. Was that a media member? This lady just gets in his face. He just punched her in the face, and I was like, "What's happening?" But now that
because that goes back to the kind of work that goes kind of back to the. I touched on it a little bit with the freedom of the press and the journalists. How he kind of just starts knuckling up, right? That goes back to the kind of world. It's a very violent world. It's not just the ring. It's just like in our world. Politics is somewhat, I guess, passive in a sense, where they just kind of allow shit to happen. And I don't know if I can. Should I be cursing on your podcast?
Oh no, you're fine. You're
I
fine.
don't know if I can be cursing.
You're fine.
Oh, you're good.
But,
You're good.
we said worse.
We're mad profane.
Like we come with these white neck beards messing with us about racism all the time. We don't care.
I cuss a lot.
Right. Well, like politics is passive, but also I think the world is a little passive. How we just kind of let things slide, and me included. Why aren't a couple million people in front of the White House gates like right now, like saying what the fuck is going on? This is ridiculous. How can Congress let a criminal stay in the White House? It doesn't make any sense, that kind of thing, So we are passive. We're distracted. I'm making comic books and doing what I love, but I also trying to, change some minds, change the world, help people a little bit, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's also a distraction. I should be doing more. I don't know what more I can do, that kind of thing. So just like we're a passive world, they're a very violent world. And I get to show you guys some cool shit in the process.
Ooh. And like I even had the perfect way to phrase it in my review. I was like, it's escapism, but it's the perfect twisted mirror of what we're facing right now. That like you're watching the TV, but like you're able to escape for what's behind the other door of what we have going on. It's so like comforting to see how worse it could be.
Exactly,
Right.
how worse it could. Right? And this world is kind of bad already, but we're kind of coming into the story where things are about to get worse. Ooh. And Anna is like, you know what? We gotta draw the line somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And I hope I didn't fall into the whole trope of making her like the passive sidekick character, because she's very, very important.
Oh no, you definitely gave her independence where she just socked the old dude. It was like, no, like, I'm here. You ain't gonna throw me around.
No doubt. Yeah. Cool. But yeah,
that leads me
really,
to a question, because a lot of people nowadays say that things, with society, with sports, with politics, everything, reality television, everything is pro wrestling. And it makes me want to ask, was that something that you kind of went into this thinking of? And are you like a pro wrestling fan? Because I got strong
Um,
pro wrestling vibes from this book as well.
I mean, I have great respect for pro wrestling,
Okay.
because people love it. I mean, I grew up on the old stuff, Hulk Hogan, Junkyard Dog, and Andre the Giant. Don't ask me about who anybody is now. I'm not,
Right.
I might know the or whatever, but I
I'm
have
with
a
you. I'm with you, man.
right. I have a great respect. Now, Sanford Green, he knows wrestling. He'll know his wrestling. But I have a great respect for wrestling. I definitely went into it with wrestling in mind, with pro wrestling in mind, where you just kind of put on this show for people, and everybody kind of know it's fake, but they still cheer in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and don't get me wrong. I don't want to talk against voting. And voting is very important. I will go vote every single time, every time I get. But I'm just saying how people will just in pro wrestling, they cheer. They know it's fake. They know it's not going to really make a difference, but they cheer them on anyway, and not really seeing that it's all just entertainment. But yeah, I definitely went into it with pro wrestling on my mind, and kind of gravitated towards MMA, martial arts, or whatever, because I wanted to be brutal
Right.
and I want to be violent.
I
So
see
I wanted
that
to be
too. I
real.
definitely saw that too.
Yeah, yeah, and I wanted to kind of shock people a little bit with the violence. Just because I kind of want to be shocked about what's going on in the real world in a sense. So
Oh, you definitely weren't afraid of that. Like this book is real, and I love it.
thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Okay, so Travis, do you have any questions about this book? Travis, did Travis die?
Travis.
I forgot I was muted for a second. I forgot I was muted for a second. All right. I mean, I guess it's not really like a question, more so like an observation that I had that I really liked about this
Mhm.
book when I was reading it, is that it's very in depth, but just enough to the point where it feels like it's the next logical step in this illogical world that politics has become. It, like, almost in that sense, writes itself.
All right. Right. Like it's like the fighting can be replaced with anything. You know what I'm saying? It can be replaced with anything where you just kind of accept the absurdity, how people will turn a blind eye to anything and lie to themselves and just act like it's so normal of the world we're living in and what's going on in it. So, but yeah, that
Right.
that fighting can be replaced. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna springboard into how he's throwing fights. He was talking about how he was throwing fights, and this is like
Right.
whole legislation in this setting. So
Right.
he's taking a beating for lobby money. Ugh.
Right. Right. He don't even care. I mean, that's a part of his journey. He's a typical politician. In our world and theirs, and he just kind of going through the motions, and that's why Anna's so important because she's like, you know what, the world's got to change. Back in the day, I used to watch you when you were little, when I was little, and you fought for something. I don't know what happened, but I need you back on the side of the good guys. So yeah.
Oh, perfect, perfect. So definitely. Well, so like, is there anything that you can hint towards that like give people a taste, or like if you could like pitch people on this book just like from the jump, what would you like say for the future of this series?
Oh wow. Let's see. I'm always gonna take things to another level, and I'm always gonna dive deeper into social issues. But as you dive deeper into your social issues, you're not gonna know. You're gonna know you're knee deep in it. You're just gonna be enjoying the book and this world and the characters so much, you're not even gonna realize you're in it until you're in it. So I'm just gonna keep taking things to the next level. I like driving a truck full of dynamite through a nitroglycerin factory. I just
Ooh,
how I like to write sometimes, and
I like
that's
that.
Yeah.
what this book is. But it's also gonna be some teachable moments, teachable and fun moments.
All
Hope they
right.
enjoy.
All right. So
Yeah.
now that we see this rise of black creators like making their own platforms and making it so like even if the big two aren't looking at us, we are making books for our people. Is there anything that you could give advice to like aspiring black creators when it comes to creating their own stuff?
Just don't give up. Don't give up. Take a step back. Focus on your quality of your stuff, and just get it out there into the world and just do your best, man, and love it first. I know it sounds corny, but that love will keep you going. Keep you going until something breaks through. So as long as you love it, they can't hurt you. Nobody can tear you down. Love it and care about your quality and put the best stuff out that you can.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Brown, for coming on this show and hanging out with us this evening. You have been an amazing guest to come on and hang out with. We would love to have you again. Once things start escalating more with this series, because this definitely is going to get more intense. I can tell.
Yeah, man, I would love to come back anytime, man. Maybe we can get David Walker and Mr. Green on here too. That'd be cool. But I really appreciate you reaching out to me, man, and inviting me on your show, man. It means a lot. I appreciate it.
All right, all right. Does anybody have any last minute thoughts or questions before I go ahead and sign off for the evening?
I do.
All right.
Marvel needs to put you, Sanford Green, or you, David F. Walker, and Sanford Green on a Wolverine book ASAP. That story was amazing.
Oh, you liked it? Oh, thank you.
That would be dope.
That's the one thing I forgot to talk about. That that Marvel Voices book. I forgot to mention about that. How did that come about, and what made you guys want to pick a Wolverine story?
I've had a relationship with Chris Robinson for a couple years. He worked. I worked my first Marvel book with him, which is the Punisher stuff, and then we did some other things together. And I just kind of stayed in contact with him. And I saw him on New York Comic Con. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to put a book together, Marvel Voices together." He was like, "What's your schedule like? What you into?" And I was like, I always wanted to write a Wolverine book, and I just kind of just said it, and I didn't think anything would come of it. But he's been in contact with Sanford for a while too, apparently, and I was surprised Sanford said yes, and then brought David Walker on board, to because the whole Bitterroot vibe, just have us all on the team would be cool. To have that, and here we are, man. And I just threw out a couple of ideas about, because I really love what Hitman's doing with X-Men. It's just different. I'm not sure how long it'll last, but I kind of wanted to do something with that. And I asked if I could use, I don't know if I don't want to spoil it or anything, but I asked if I could use a certain character, and they said yes, and that blew my mind. So I just kind of had fun with it, man. It was really fun, and I would do a Wolverine book in a minute, man. That'd be awesome. So. Tweet it at Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
start a hashtag.
Oh, we're on it. We're on it.
We can make that happen. Honestly, if there was one book that I would love to see y'all tackle, not only would I want them to bring back Power Man and Iron Fist, with all three of y'all doing it, but I would love if they would let you guys take a stab at the Crew, because Ta-Nehisi Coates tried to make the Crew happen again, and it just did not happen. And Aaron just sighed because he knows the pain. Yeah, I would love if y'all could just be the front people to make the Crew happen.
That would be dope, man. I would be all for it. It'd be intimidating as hell, coming on with Green and Walker, but yeah, I'd be all for it, man.
See, my thing is that, like, they've let the Crew go, but we have Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda, and that is not what we want. We want the Crew.
I mean, no disrespect to Jim Zub, but it's not what we were expecting.
Absolutely not what we expected. Absolutely not.
What about Wakandans in space? Is that still a thing?
Oh my God, Space Wakanda needs to stop!
Yes.
I can't take it anymore.
It is.
And they just solicited another issue of it from Coates. I'm like, please,
yeah,
make this stop. I thought we were ending this. He came back to Earth. Make it stop.
It's actually still going strong. It's going pretty strong.
What has it been, 3 years? It's been 3 years.
More power to him, man. More power to him.
Yeah. There's some interesting elements, that make it kind of fun, but yeah, it's been going.
And then, honestly, Mr. Brown, I gotta say, if there was one hero that I would love to see you specifically tackle, not because of your grounded vibe, I need you to write me a Sam Wilson book.
Wow, I love to write Sam Wilson, man.
Gospel.
Dope.
Like Sam Wilson is literally like one of my favorite Marvel characters because as a child, like my dad had this thing. Whenever I would pick up a book that had a white character in it, he would make me pick up a black character. Like he got me to read Black Lightning after seeing me reading Batman. He got me to read Captain America and Falcon after seeing me read Captain America. And I fell in love with Sam Wilson at a young age. So when he picked up the Shield, my life was made. And then they took it away from him and they gave it to Rodney Barnes just to write Falcon, and then they canceled it. So I'm like, I need someone with a lot of heart and a lot of grit to come in here and write a book. And I'm like, you would be amazing writing a Falcon book.
Hashtags, man. Hashtags. That's all I can say.
Oh, we got you. And I'll leave you with this. The character and voices that you don't want to reveal, I would say that if you can't do Wolverine, I think that would be a good character you could take on too. Yes. A black writer handling that character would take that character into some interesting places.
Right. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool, man. But it's all good, man. You know, I'm just focusing on, you know, the creator own stuff right now. But if they reached out with the right project, man, I'll be all for it. You know, because you know I'm a fan at heart. You know, so
definitely, and we're gonna put them hashtags out there for sure.
I definitely would love that. All right. So go ahead, sir.
Make sure I follow all you guys on Twitter. If I don't, just shoot me a message or something, man, or DM me so we can follow each other, man. I want to keep in contact online
most
as well. Okay?
We'll do.
Please do.
I'm frustrated as it is because I have to like order your book from Midtown because I don't have a shop near me. My shop closed, so I best believe I'm going to be supporting this book.
Oh man, I can't imagine having a shop in my town, man. That sucks, man.
Like the nearest one,
you gotta open one.
45 minutes away from me.
That's crazy.
Oh man.
It was just,
where you based?
I'm in Troy, Ohio. All these cats are either in Seattle or California. I gotta stay up to the butt crack of the evening just to do this show.
Hey, my California doesn't count. They don't sell comics out here. It's at Walmart.
you gotta get the 100-page Giants, my guy.
Dude, you know it's midnight here. Not for me, right?
I just hit midnight too. So like, I'm over here doing this show constantly late, and it's like the nearest shop is either close to Dayton or like Columbus for me. So it's a struggle trying to like get physicals.
Wow, man, that's hard. You got comicsology?
I'm praying for you, James.
I have comicsology. Like if I don't have the extra shipping money to hit up Midtown, I usually hit up comicsology.
Yeah, no doubt. Cool.
Once again, thank you so much for coming on this show. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up this show for the evening. Don't forget that you can follow this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Blerd Grounds. You can check out the website On Comics Ground on Twitter and Instagram at On Comics Ground. You can check out the website itself where we have our reviews, like my review of On The Stump #1, all of Aaron's reviews of Bitterroot that he will be reviewing Bitterroot 6 this week for you folks. And don't forget that you can check out all of our reviews, solicitations, previews, everything on there at on-comics-ground.com for you good people. You can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, YouTube, everything but SoundCloud because we do not support SoundCloud. And you will catch you folks next week. Travis, what is your closing statement for this episode of Blerd Grounds?
Read On The Stump and someone animate this.
For real? That would be amazing. An animated series of this? Ooh. That'd be some intense stuff. All right, Marcus, what is your closing statement for this episode?
Read On The Stump. Read Bitterroot. Don't just pick up the latest issue. Go back if you can find them. Go pick up all the issues. Pick up the trade if you can. Is it collected in trade yet?
Bitterroot, yeah.
What's that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we got
the first. Yeah, the volume 1 is out.
And pick up Marvel Voices as well.
Oh, most definitely.
Support your people.
And pre-orders are important. If y'all I know a lot of people don't understand comic book economy because we have a monopoly going on, but like pre-orders are important. It's the reason.
Dude, you took the words right out of my mouth. You took the words right out of my mouth, man. Pre-order, please. Pre-order Bitterroot. Please pre-order On The Stump. Yeah, they are extremely important. That's what keeps the publishers putting out more books. So please pre-order. Yes.
Aaron, what is your closing statement for this episode? Is Aaron there? Is he driving? He might be driving. I'll say it for Aaron. Aaron probably say thank you for the opportunity to be on here. And I definitely pre-order and whatnot. Mr. Brown, what is your question?
Yeah. All that. Sorry,
Nowhere.
background. All that.
Jay, you got some editing to do tonight.
Oh no, it'll be all right.
All that.
And then, Mr. Brown, do you have a closing statement for us before we sign off for the evening?
Like I say to the words of my mouth, please pre-order On The Stump 2, 3, and 4, and pre-order Bitterroot number 7. And I will be at Captain Comington, Charleston this weekend. Anybody in the area, please come out, get some book signs, and come chop it up.
All right. And then I wanted to ask, is there a chance that we could get a sequel to The Quiet Kind? Because I'm loving this as I read this.
Dude, Dark Horse, man. You can talk to Dark Horse. We're trying to work something out, but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
It may not be a Dark Horse, but we'll work on it. I definitely have more story to tell. I definitely want to try to make it actually a little more kid friendly, because that's really who needs these kind of stories. The Quiet Kind. So it's definitely on my to-do list. Yes.
All right, cool. All right. Well, we will catch you folks next time right here at Blerd Grounds. Peace out.